MindshiftOS, upgrade your life. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you're not broken, you're patterned. Once I realized this, I couldn't unlearn this. I couldn't get it out of my mind. And that realization changed my life, and it's why I'm making this podcast. My background is I've been studying the subconscious mind for 15 to 20 years. Super into psychology, NLP, nervous system regulation, hypnosis. But I hadn't done it for work. I worked a ton of different jobs. I worked in construction, bartending, wildland firefighting. Hard work, trying to prove to myself that I was disciplined. But I was testing this stuff out at fire stations and learning mindset work while I was working on wildland fires. I knew one younger firefighter. She came in brand new. She weighed just over 100 pounds, but she had guts, and she really wanted to be able to keep up with the rest of the crew. And we started talking about the subconscious mind, and she was really into self-help work. And I started making her some recordings to be more disciplined, to work harder. And she started improving, getting better and better. She was out running, out hiking some of the men firefighters, and she was doing great. And she also wanted me to make some recordings that were more along the lines of manifestation. And so I made her some subliminal recording tracks, some affirmation tracks about having a ranch and living the good life. And now I'm looking back and seeing her socials, and we keep in touch. She lives on a little ranch property. I see pictures of her riding her horses. It's great to see people, putting this stuff to good work. But I really became obsessed with the subconscious mind and learning about why we become stuck, because it just seemed like the most interesting thing to me. And then I realized why it was so interesting to me, because I was stuck. I was completely stuck. And I was just focusing on discipline, hard work, willpower. My parents were hard workers, and I wanted to be a hard worker, and I wanted to prove that I was a hard worker. But I just started getting burnt out. I was working 110-hour work weeks on fires for 2 weeks in a row. And by the end of the fire season, I was just burnt out, and the fire seasons were just getting longer and longer in California. And I don't know if you've been there, but you start thinking this has to be right? Because I'm working so hard. I've been doing this for so long. I can't be doing it for nothing, right? But then you start realizing that working harder in your situation isn't getting you further. And that feeling's just very unsettling, that feeling of unused potential. And I remember I was sitting in my office. It was wintertime. Snow was falling on the ground. The fire station was empty because all the seasonal firefighters were laid off during the fall time. And I had a lot of downtime. I had time to read, keep up my notebooks, and I started feeling a push away from the fire station. And at the same time, this intuition that I had to move to Mexico. And it seemed illogical, but I decided I was going to do it. So I set plans into motion, let my fire chief know that I was quitting. He thought I was leaving to another agency that paid better. And I was like, no, I'm moving to Mexico. And he's like, wait, what? And so I packed my recording gear with me, and I'm in the mountains of Mexico right now recording in a small town and a small house. Not the best recording situation, but I'm making it work. And as soon as I moved to Mexico, craziest thing happened. I met my future wife. She at the same time was thinking of moving to the States because her family, they all have their visas, but she decided she felt like she had to stay in Mexico for some reason. I thought that was interesting. I started volunteering, doing environmental development work and making recordings to reprogram the subconscious mind, making self-hypnosis recordings that I post for free. And it brings me great joy to hear people tell me their stories of how these recordings have gotten them unstuck. And just the other day, a guy was telling me how he started putting his life into motion. He's starting to make changes in different ways he's been stuck. He went out there and got his teeth fixed. It's something that he was putting off for years. And it just brings me great joy hearing that some of this stuff is helping people out. And my mission is to get people unstuck. Get people to get their subconsciouses working for them. Rewire and reprogram their subconscious mind so that they can be happier, so that they can move towards success rapidly. Because I'm just obsessed with the idea that we can use a combination of different subconscious techniques to move ourselves in the direction that we need to go, get ourselves unstuck, allow ourselves to be happy, healthy, successful. So if any of this sounds like it rings true to you, I hope that you'll stick with me. You can follow me on my socials. I'll continue to post free self-hypnosis guides, free self-hypnosis audios, and I want to help you get unstuck, and I want to keep on learning and sticking on this. Well, the power just went out. Stay on this journey together. Until next time.